I think I might have been rambling incoherently to myself, thinking I was live. Oh, okay, nice. Okay, so I thought I was live, and I wasn't. Oh gosh, and I didn't feel like saying or doing anything today. Uh, we're going to have to keep our game face on. So, game face. Not what I feel like doing. I don't actually like attention. I hate having to ask. I hate it when I have to say the things that nobody wants to hear. I absolutely loathe it. I do not do this because I like it. I'm doing this because I am compelled by my conscience and circumstances that I can no longer defer not speaking the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Because this world is at a tipping point. This web of lies that we have built up every time we looked away. And mea culpa, mea culpa, mea maxima culpa. I have participated in this lie, and I have to confess it because we are now at a point where we cannot sugarcoat anything anymore. You can't sugarcoat it. So very many times I could have said very much more than I did. I didn't want to. I'm comfortable. Just be tolerant, live and let live, look away, ignore. It's so much easier just to live in your comfort zone and not challenge the lies. Those lies have now built up to a crescendo. Look around the world. You've seen what's going on. Border between Ukraine and Russia. If you ever watched the movie Wag the Dog, let me tell you something. What an unpopular president does to gain popularity, it starts a war. And Ukraine has always been a tinderbox. So, okay. So we were confessing how I have contributed to the clustercluck that we are seeing in the world today, and how you have contributed, how we have all contributed because we were not scrupulous with the truth. You cannot serve two masters. You can't. So the other day, because this is what happens to me a lot, is I inadvertently, I'm not even aware that I'm doing it, but I will cause people's shadows and darkness to come tumbling out. Yeah, I have a slight, that's not a kind of special you want to be. You do not want to be this kind of special because it makes you no friends, makes you plenty of enemies. Let me know if you can. Is there a lag? Isn't there a lag? I don't know. I'm tired. Anybody? No, I don't know if this is lagging too badly for me to continue. This is lagging too badly to continue. I don't know. Okay, well, I don't know if it's lagging or not. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue, and if we have to repeat this horrendous thing again, I will save the film, and then I will redo it at a time when my connection is better. My connection is not good, and so you might just get the strangled version, and if you are getting that, let me know so that I can reconvene this unpleasant confession that I am now compelled into making, because I have participated in the lie that has created the world that we live in now. 100%. Absolutely. I cannot give myself a free pass. I think I've spoken out a lot. I've spoken out more than most people. I certainly have not spoken out Julian Assange level speaking out. And it's very hard. A very dear and learned friend who pops in and just drops truth bombs in the comments made this comment today. He said, the truth is abhorrent. The truth is abhorrent. And it is. It is so unpalatable. It is so awful. It is as bad as you think it is, and worse than that. As above, so below. This planet is under quarantine because people over here have become so wicked and so contaminated, because all they do all day long is serve the lie. And you can do that. You can sell art. You can sell your soul for temporary safety. Get a bit of freedom, keep quiet about the rest, kind of on the side of caution. But what you cannot prevent is when that bill becomes due and payable. And so I've been hoping that, who among my learned giant soul tribe did not foresee what was coming. However, I have to tell you that the rapidity and rollout has been staggering. And I don't want to be here right now. I really don't. I want to be lying in bed. I've got a headache. My face hurts. So I have to speak out because I made a vow to serve truth. I made a vow. You cannot go back on your word. In a monumental vow like that, you cannot back out of it. And when I say serve the truth, I mean that literally. I came to a point where I didn't know why I was interested in evil and all of these strange subjects and why I was born in such a strange and remote region. I didn't know what it was all for. And then something came to me and it became crystal clear. Okay, you said you would serve truth. Truth is a very hard taskmaster. There are consequences when you do not speak. You know, if the Creator did not get my attention one way, he got my attention another way. Great, thank you, Todd. Thank you so much. Yeah, I have tried every which way to escape being here. No, having to say this in the hideous conditions that I am living in. And I'm physically, emotionally, I'm battered. I want to go and lie in my bed. I don't want to have to take on you crazy people of the lie. I am scared of you. I don't want to have to take you on. But here's the thing: you can't escape when you make a vow. You can't escape the consequences. So I know words have consequences, deeds have consequences, and either I'm completely insane. I would be the happiest person in the room. If I am completely insane, fantastic. It means the lunatics are not running the asylum. I'm thrilled that I am insane. That is spectacular weight off my shoulders. Because if I am sane, the truth is terrifying. And look, the conspiracy theories, we know, we have literally bled them dry. There's nothing left out there. Thank you. Thank you, Bryce. So what I do have in my favor, and Lord knows I don't have much, because everything I had everything I had or wanted was taken. You need to go and look at the book of Job to understand the context in which I accept that, but at the same time I chafe at it. Okay, so I couldn't have a farm, live a normal life. And then my grandfather was planning to find me a suitable husband to ensure that I would be kept in a luxurious life. And I was due to go to Swiss finishing school and then on to some expensive university overseas. And because he knew my strengths and he knew my weaknesses, and he wanted to protect me, and he was taken from me. And you do not know. Go to my album, Rest in Peace, all those I lost in December. We'll find a newspaper clipping. The only person on this earth who knows the real story is me. And yes, I wrote to the papers. I wrote them a long, lengthy, you stop lying about my family and my grandfather. And they published it, but they edited out the bits that were really unappealing. because the media lies. So for those of you who don't know anything about my background, don't assume anything about me. You do not know me. You do not know where I come from. You do not know where I'm going. And you most certainly do not know what I have seen with my own eyes, because you don't want to see it. It's ugly, it's grotesque, it's horrible. I was studying languages. I studied 8 languages at university. I'm pretty much an expert on gourmet food and wine and travel, luxury goods. I like luxury. Failing luxury, the monastic life will do. However, this master of truth that I serve requires actual, action. So I can't just like sit it out quietly in the background, because I will be hauled out one way or the other. And on a soul level, I accepted this. And so I cannot, I cannot complain when my intuition has now brought me to the point where I'm seeing like minds all over the world who've been independently researching things, coming to exactly the same conclusions as I have. And I'm pushed into a position where I have to expose myself when I least want to expose myself. When I just want to go and sleep, just forever. Why am I here? Well, I'm here because my soul contract was to be here now. And to be here in such a position that I would be forced to have to go, staying all out, not for myself, because believe you me, I do not fear death. Death is easy, easy, easy. I can go without food and water and just my blood pressure starts to drop, and I close my eyes and it's easy. It's hard to get up. But what happened to me was the Creator intervened and foisted off these little 4-legged creatures who need to be looked after. And they are high maintenance. And when I take on an animal, it is to their last breath. I will protect them and love them and be with them to their last breath. And that's not only true for animals, that has been true for my family as well. I sat with my mother as she died and took her last breath. I was at my grandmother's bedside. I did everything I could to the very end for my grandfather. And one day I will go into the details of what really happened and what the newspapers were looking for. And yeah, I was quite a little spin doctor at 19, if I say so myself. Because if they found what they were looking for, my grandfather's death wouldn't have been reported till somewhere low down in the news. It would have been front page news. And I made sure that they could not get that out of him. They made enough money out of him in his life, they were not going to profit from his death. So what you see behind you, all this clutter, which would make anybody who's OCD, surfaces, sweetie darling surfaces, make them have an absolute conniption. This isn't just stuff, it's evidence. It's evidence. Somehow I knew the day was going to come where I'm going to have to say things. I don't want to break the chain of evidence. So everything I say, I can back up. Now, I've got the newspaper clipping. I've got the books. I can back up everything I say. When you call me a liar, game on. Put your money where your mouth is. You think there's a fake injury? You think what I say is just off the bat? Okay. Put your money where your mouth is. I will take on anyone, anywhere, anytime. I know I am solid in what I say. And actually, the evidence is superfluous because as much as I can pull out everything, I've got receipts going back 1984 to show every aspect of my life and what I say is true. I know people don't really care about the evidence. Oh, they don't care. If they cared, everybody would know what was going on, and I wouldn't have to be sitting over here, thank you, having been clocked in the eye for doing nothing more than trying to mind my own business and keep my dogs safe until they leave this earthly plane. That was all I wanted to do. However, you know how it goes. You can't serve two masters. So when I took a solid decision, a vow to serve truth, it was, there was no ifs and buts and exceptions. There were no exceptions. It had no footnotes. And I was kind of hoping that I was doing enough. I run a geopolitics group. I'm exposing the political agenda. Excuse me, I am struggling with speech today. I have streamed out my various information sources so as not to cause too much offense. And then everything is now converged on a point where all my diverse interests and separate groups and politics here, crime there, and who knows, languages there, they've all converged, and I am forced to speak now. I have no other option. So the other day, I did what I am best at doing without knowing it. And that is, I provoked people's shadow side. I knew I had a few Christian hypocrites on the friends list. I didn't know I had so many. So when I made the comment about fake ass Christians, and that's not my own, by the way, and it does not refer to all Christians, that is a term that Mark Passio, hours of Google videos where Mark Passio sets out what it means to be a fake ass Christian hypocrite. And I called out some hypocrisy because my mouth ran over. I was having a really bad day. Everything, the amount. Now, what I have to do is very hard. So when I speak, please understand, it's not unearned wisdom. This is wisdom I earned the hard way, voluntarily, but not 100%. I was hoping I could skate by just on exposing what happened to my grandfather and the real political agenda in South Africa, and how, in fact, nothing that you see in politics is real, and Kissinger was directing South African politics from the 1960s. My grandfather was political persecution for nearly a decade. I grew up knowing the deal. I grew up knowing. So I thought I'm going to expose the politics. Okay, fair enough. It turns out most people aren't that interested. People are lazy and ignorant. So this is what Mark Passio was talking about with fake ask Christians, pointing out the hypocrisy. And so when I said these fake ass Christians, I wasn't saying it in a way that was meant to condemn all Christians. I was referring specifically to the subgroup of hypocrites. And quite frankly, if you see something in Christianity that is unpalatable or runs contrary to the truth, and you don't call it out, you become a collaborator. And if there's one thing I am not, it is a collaborator. I have done enough collaborating. I have streamed out everything as quietly as possible, everything that I know about, everything I've learned. I've streamed out as quietly as possible. Look at the world. This is what happens because we all did not speak the truth. So what is the problem with Christians in particular? That they were so outraged? Well, I said, the fake ass Christian hypocrites. You should be pleased. If you're a Christian, a real Christian, true Christian, not a fake ass Christian, you should be very ready to point out hypocrisy. Because let me remind you again of the scene in the Garden of Gethsemane. This cup can pass over me. Very serious consequences to Christianity. No, it's not. You are not just going to be saved because you read a fraction of a fraction. And when it comes to these things, you think I don't know the Bible. Bless your heart. I know more than what you could begin to imagine. And what I learned, no logical reason. Listen, there is no way that I actually had to volunteer for this job. I could just stick to what I'm best at: languages, pronunciation, luxury, travel, comfort stuff. I love that stuff. But I can live without it. And then you try to be quiet. And then the world comes and gets you out again. I am forced out. There is nowhere left for me to run and hide. And so, yes, when you become a servant of truth and you take a vow to serve truth, humility, and truth calls on you to fulfill your obligations, and you are tardy, as in maybe tomorrow I'll feel stronger. And then truth says, Your tomorrow is starting to sound a lot like 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Get out there. There is nothing, there's no dress rehearsal anymore. Oh, you don't like the way you look. You don't like the way you feel. Well, guess what? You contracted yourself into this. You voluntarily, by your own free choice and will, chose to serve truth as your master. And now you have to get up and speak. And if you don't get up and speak, I will haul you out there one way or another. And it sounds brutal. Because if you understood Christianity, it's brutal. You know what happens to truth speakers? They get crucified. People hate the truth. This is a world of lies. We have all participated. Every single one of us has looked away, been lazy, preferred another way. Oh gosh, and then they came up with that new age stuff, and for about 2 weeks I was in the thrall of Oprah Winfrey making the vision boards. And you don't focus on the negative and you just dwell on the positive, that magically you get a house by the ocean. And then I started to think, it doesn't really work like that, does it? It's action and consequences. But this magical thinking has been occulted into you. Magical thinking. Magical thinking that you can just invoke, I'm a Christian, I'm saved. That is brainwashing. The Church of Satan, which is really, it's far more sophisticated than just a couple of half-wits dressed up in a vulgar and tasteless manner, behaving atrociously and torturing small animals. It is much more complex. So we have been brainwashed to an incredible extent. And you gnaw your way out of one net and you find you're in a bigger net. And you gnaw your way out of that. And oh my goodness, this is a very hostile environment we are living in on this planet. And it has become this hostile because we failed to speak the truth. Me right alongside. Many, many times. I could have mobilized people I knew. I could have done the radical thing as a counterpart to the inversion I saw happening before my eyes. No. I'll go to nice restaurants and travel and see the world. I didn't want to do this. But as I say, everything I wanted was taken from me. And if you see what the price Christ paid, and you see the price Julian Assange pays, and you see the price Chelsea Manning paid, truth speakers, that is very dangerous territory. When you take on this type of vow, get to a point where you're out of options. You can't fudge it, you can't hide it, you can't subcompartmentalize it so that people trying to wake them up on the political side. Heads up, South Africa is not what you think it is. You did not liberate nothing. It has been directly managed ever since it started out as a country. There is nothing of the history you know about South Africa that is true. Nothing. I guarantee you know absolutely nothing. Right down to the race thing. Because You've got the story about, you know, it was the white people, the Dutch colonized the Cape. You lazy liars. If you looked, you would have found the key to what has now come home to roost in the West and the United States. It was all there. And many, many people tried to tell you and you didn't want to know. And, oh, you can go and look at my political channel, Cesara Speaks, where I tell you what South Africa really is and how it is a laboratory experiment for the rest of the world. And there was no, the Dutch never colonized this place. Get it out of your heads. Race was never an issue in the Cape Colony. It was never an issue. 2 of our governors, 2 were mixed race. One was actually known as the Turk because he was so dark in color. So your status in the beginnings of when people who burn in the sun came to South Africa, your status was not determined by your skin color. Your status was, it was under, you could be 3 things: a slave, an employee of the Dutch East India Company, or a free burger. That means a free citizen. Heads up, very few free citizens. My ancestors, to your surprise, are mostly not Dutch. They're French refugees who came over here. And if you go to the Huguenot Museum in Franschhoek in the Cape, the Huguenot is, for those who don't know, Huguenots were Protestants, sort of a Calvinist version of Protestantism that had sprung up in opposition to the Roman Catholic Church. And these were tough people. When the Catholic and the Empire came after them, and literally the turn or burn of Giordano Bruno, who is my cover photograph, it's not accidental. There is nothing accidental that you see on my timeline, except maybe sometimes I use a lot of filler to try and beat the algorithm. So I'll post other stuff in between and post rapid fire and then just try and push in something. And I'm a Facebook felon on the rap sheet. Oh my goodness, you would think I was a hardened criminal, and I know so many of you who are watching, if you get to see this, you also spend time in, as we put it over here, the chucky, for saying things you're not allowed to say and committing thought crimes. So I want to tell you something about Facebook, first of all. We have to be scrupulously honest here. We are the enemy. They did not create Facebook as a platform so that those of us who are intuitively connected could actually light up across the grid and start connecting with each other and turning the panopticon in on itself. That was not the plan. We hijacked their platform. So when you see it through that lens, it's almost funny. The idea behind Facebook, you monitor dissidents a little bit, but mostly it was mercenary money. So what they wanted to do was wanted people to share pictures of their friends and where they were going and what they were doing so they could sell on advertising space. And we were supposed to be doing nothing but sharing, family snaps and pictures and friends and whatever. That was the purpose of Facebook. And then something went completely wrong, and those of us who are sleepers, and there are many sleepers across, but oh my god, I have goosebumps, because the one thing that this platform has done for me is it recorded almost everything. They deleted a lot. So what I'm saying is not so insane when you look down and you see people I've never met who know that this is true. So what is this? Let me just bring you to a sharp focus of what this is. This is a massive attempt to get you to voluntarily sell your soul in return for temporary safety. They don't want your stuff. They don't even necessarily want your DNA. They want your soul. They want to sever your link to the Creator. That is this war on humanity. And the biggest enemy of that is those of us who kind of intuitively stumbled into truth. I mean, some people actively look for it. Julian Assange, Seth Rich. Oh, I have never forgotten it. My grandfather, things I've seen. I know the price. So they want your souls. They want your souls. Now, I've hit a point where I've been through enough of a trial. Hans Rudy, Lisa, God bless you. You must save your soul. Equal, true. Yes, you see, everybody knows. In fact, there's that Leonard Cohen song. Oh, Hans Rudy Pfister, I'm sorry about Nelson Mandela. I'm sorry, I have to tell you the truth. He's not who you think he was. He was a CIA plant. And if you don't believe me, just go into Google. Type in Getty Images, Night of St. John. And up will come the great liberator and decolonizer who bends the knee to the Queen of England in his regalia and his robes. And he is not the only one. He is not the only one. Thabo Mbeki, all of them, they are on the program. There is no country, there is no race, and there is no religion that they have not infiltrated. This is a massive spiritual battle. God gave me, he took many things from me. He took many things, which I accept. Because that is what I accepted. And you can't go back on your word. It's just like that. You can't go back on your word. You either serve mammon or you serve truth. And in these times, I'm telling you now, there is a line that you cannot go there. You cannot fudge it. So I hate being the bearer of bad news. Mandela was a plant. De Klerk was a plant. They were all plants. Going back to Paul Kruger was a plant. He was not native to South Africa. Go and look at his regalia. Go octagon, octagon. You know where the Kruger millions went? You know, everybody looking for the Kruger millions? Yes, they went to the cuckoo's nest in the Alps, where he died, in Switzerland, this great Boer prime minister. So this is the level where we are. Everything is a lie. We've all participated in this monstrous lie. In Catholicism, there are sins of omission and commission. And so what you don't say and what you don't do, and I'm talking about true Catholicism, you know, real, the real deal, not that monstrosity sitting in the Vatican. You have to examine your conscience. People sort of think, well, this confession thing isn't it a little bit over the top? And there was a point where I thought so too. And I'm certainly not going to go and tell some crazy pedophile priest anything, but I must tell you that the priests and the nuns I was first exposed to were wonderful, and they instilled within us a very deep sense of duty and honor and the importance in your life to be of service. So I was blessed to have a private education in South Africa, which most people didn't get. Result of which I had actually met some of the young people who had survived the Sharpeville massacre, because my school took us there to show us, and these are real deal, you know, priests and nuns of thought, word, and deed. They took us to show us what we were collecting money for, what we were fighting against. We had pupils of color when no other school had them. That I was enormously privileged. So God took away from me, but he also armed me with many, many things for this ordeal that was to come. And I deferred it. I deferred having to say everything directly. I didn't want to sound insane. I didn't, I've never been little Miss Popularity, but Lord knows, having people actively coming after you, especially when you're in this position. I'm not a star in Hollywood. I'm just trying to lay low and get my dogs to the end of their life so I can finish this tour of duty. That God said, no, I'm sorry, that was not the deal. So you're going to get out there one way or the other. If you have to get clocked in the face for you to get up and reach out and somehow get all these people that you have gathered in all your esoteric groups and your political groups and your, you know, cultural groups, sweetie, darling, wine, passion. You're going to have to converge all those things and hold yourself up to these human beings who are terrifying. They're demons. Okay, what scares me? Human beings. I am terrified of human beings because I know the human capacity for evil. How do I know? You know, and when I say things with assurance, people think, yeah, it's an off-the-cuff statement. No, my friends, I'm sorry. I studied evil in monstrous detail. I looked away from nothing. I have spoken to people who have done very bad things. In fact, there are Facebook friends who can confirm that I have held up my phone in real time and shown them what messages are coming into my phone. And that is a result of me going where most people don't want to go. I understand why. The truth is abhorrent. It's monstrous. It's absolutely monstrous. It is also our only hope. Humanity is on the line. They are going to cut our connection to the Creator, and then we will literally be prison. I mean, it's a prison planet now. You think you were ejected from the Garden of Eden, into toiling for your lot the first time round. Let me tell you, this cycle that is ending now is the total enslavement of humanity and nothing less. And they cannot do that without your consent. Oh, God, I'm frightening myself. They cannot do that without your consent. They cannot do that without your consent. So but I believed you, and you lied, and yeah, well, I lied, so what? That is what we are. We live in the planet of lies. There is no place like Earth for lies. Our entire everything around us is a lie. And then we have the back to the womb thinking, oh, we just want to go and live in a cabin, by the river, and like our ancestors did. And you have taken that out of context because they have brainwashed us so much that you do not know that your ancestors were not just, living the good old homestead life. It goes back much, much earlier than that. I think I'm exaggerating. Go to the CIA website. Type in Adam and Eve and the flood and see what comes up. And then you come back and tell me why a 3-letter agency classified a document like that. It's now declassified, heavily redacted. Heavily redacted. What the flood? Thousands of years ago. Who gives a damn? Oh, people don't care. Everywhere I look, and this is occult brainwashing. Occult brainwashing. When you say I don't care, I don't care. That Bohemian Grove where they do the ritual sacrifice to the temple of Moloch, child sacrifice. Do you know what they are doing at that ceremony thing? The cremation of care. In the satanic agenda, ignorance is a sin. So they encourage us, or they know, they actually do know right from wrong. And they are working overtime to prevent us from realizing the difference between truth and lies. Because they don't want to have to answer to the Creator. So they just want to make themselves a little prison planet with humans, and George Carlin said this, just bright enough to serve them, not so bright that you question what they're saying, and completely severed from the true Creator God. And I mean, well, yeah, you don't have to look far to see the extraordinary lengths they have gone to undertake this enterprise. Why? because they can't, they know, they know the consequences of ignorance and lies and laziness, and they encourage all these vices in us so that we stay as far away from the truth, and the truth is as uncomfortable to speak as it can possibly get. Don't tell me you don't know Julian Assange has gone all the way to hell. Seth Richards, all of them. The truth speakers are ritually crucified publicly to deter other people from speaking the truth. The only antidote, it's going to be very painful. And people who were warning us that this was coming said, look, you're going to learn the easy way, like now you're going to start to pay attention to the signs and omens and start speaking up and doing your bit, or it's going to come to a very ugly crescendo. We all just deferred. We watched. I brought attention to Julian Assange. What's happening in Ukraine now is absolutely, that's a tinderbox in my geopolitics group. Very well addressed. I have all these groups that I stream out my various interests into, because there's an enormous amount of research in what I've done, and I felt compelled to do it. And perhaps this is what put me on this path irrevocably. When I was young, I was born in a country that wasn't even a country, in a very remote area. And my parents were completely agnostic. Christmas was, I thought it was very chic and stylish. It was a thorn tree instead of a Christmas tree, because, we're talking about a very remote desert region in Africa over here. I'd never heard a Bible story. I'd never heard about, as you say in Afrikaans, Lieve Jesus, our beloved Jesus. I had never set foot in a church until I was nearly 7. You can go and look at the photographs. I wasn't even baptized until I was nearly 7. And there is a hilarious photograph where I'm looking at this man in the dress, because my mother, it's so remote that my mother had to acquire a roving priest to come to the farm so, to get us into the schooling system. You had to be baptized to get into the school. And my parents, who were like sort of 2 children, reality didn't dawn on them. So I hadn't gone to school. I was nearly 7 when I went to school for the first time. And let me tell you, it was a shock to my system. I felt like I just landed in a parallel universe. I did not know who these people were. And they looked at me and they went, what are you? What are you? Horrifying. You're not like us. You're not like us. So I had no inculcation. There was no radio, no TV, no nothing where we lived. Generator for electricity. Movies, 2 towns up, they would get the old projector out and put up a screen, and invariably the thing would break. We'd be sitting in the school hall or whatever, and that was our version of a cinema. I did not have a media influence on me. And I was a very quiet child. I was a very intelligent child. And I just I was socially not comfortable. I was very awkward socially. I'm a nightmare for my mother. It has only come to my attention in recent years, when I think back, how difficult it must have been for my mother to have a child like me. Because, I mean, she was doing her best. Here's a pretty dress. Not interested. My room was an absolute, nobody went in there because it was rows of specimens and slides and dissection and chemistry sets. Nobody went in there. In fact, somebody whose death 2 years ago, I mourn at this time of the year. I wanted to say this at his funeral, but I was hesitant. And let me tell you, that was one of the most wonderful funerals I've ever been to. Because it was a celebration of his life. It was absolutely wonderful. And then everybody got up in turn and they recounted their crazy Stelios moments. And I kind of wanted to recount mine, but I didn't have it in me. What he did was he gave me a puff adder as a child. I put the puff adder into a makeshift aquarium turn snake keeping thing, and he was one of the people who intuitively knew he wasn't endangering me. He knew, and I know he knew. But anyway, I was trying to feed the snake and like nothing was really working, and so I went to my mother and I said, look, I think Snakey's hungry. What must I feed him? What must I give him? And you know those moments in the movies where all the adults, you see all their eyes are shock, horror, you stay right there. What is in her room? And then Festus, who was our top member of staff, was dispatched to go and see what was happening in this crazy child's room with all the specimens, and what do they find there? Baby puff adder. And so when I asked my mother, I know, Snakey is gone. I don't know, I can't find it. But she said, Snakey went home, okay? That is the end of it. Snakey went home. And that was in that. So yeah, that's my funny Uncle Stelios story. So yeah, what I'm trying to say is I wasn't influenced like any of you might have been. I was in a very, very different position. I didn't know about God. I didn't know about anything. The only goddess I knew anything about, my mother had a statue of Kuan Yin, and I knew to be worshipful of that. I had no other idea about, everything else. And I must have been 4 or 5, somewhere around there, on our farm. Just imagine dusty road, very barren, sparse area. Whatever reason, I probably went to the farm shop to catch some toffees or something like that off somebody. And I was walking on that road. And some road to the Damascus thing happened. I don't know how to explain. I didn't say anything. It's just something in me was primed to accept such a download. I don't know how to describe it. It was like a massive thundercloud that came from behind and over everything and washed over me. And and I've tried to sort of analyze what that was in the past, present, future. That's where I came from behind. And the download was just very simply this. Basically, I am God. You exist to serve me. I made all of this, and there are rules and laws, and you will keep them. And so I knew from that moment onwards. Do I believe in God? No, no, I don't believe in fairy tales. God came to me. And then my family, we went through such ordeals, such nightmares, the likes of which you cannot imagine. I'm writing a book called Walking for My Ancestors. I'm trying to tie up all of our family sort of accumulated debt and finish it up so we don't have to come back to this place. So when I say these things and I'm pushed into this and bad things happen to me when I don't follow my intuition, I have to accept it because I chose it. Lord, hear me. Lord, save me. Lord, forgive myself. I do trust in God 100%. If I didn't have God, I'd be dead. There's no way I would have survived. Everyone, go and look at all the people that died. And I'm talking about people my age who are stronger than me, physically fitter in every single way. Why am I left over here? Why am I left over here? I think I haven't asked repeatedly over and over and over again, why? And okay, now I see it. It's all over the planet. I'm not the only one. All the sleepers for truth are actually hearing the call and rising up. And at this time, they are terrified. What is going on now in politics and the laws that are coming in, it's because they're terrified of us. They are terrified of us. We, just the people who have tuned in our frequencies or tuned in to receive from the true creator, we are their enemy. I'm going to tell you something completely crazy. I studied war crimes, right? And so I spoke to many people. And when you study evil, I don't have to. Everybody said to me, do not fucking go there. What is wrong with you? You don't want to see that stuff. And it's true. You don't want to see what war is. Horrifying beyond all measure. And keep an eye on the ticking time bomb in Ukraine right now. Unpopular presidents get very popular when they get into a war or conflict. So yes, I am contracted to speak truth. I am contracted to be here. I've been having these dreams because at the end of the day, my tight-knit soul tribe, my mother and her parents and me. This was like the inner circle soul tribe that knew the score about everything. The rest, not so much. What was I trying to say? Sorry, God, this headache is just killing me. So, what was I trying to say? Yeah, it's easy to die. Oh, I had this dream. And in this dream, I find my mother or my grandmother, my grandfather. And I say to them, please, they're all gone, obviously, from this world. And I say to them, please take me. There's nothing for me there. Please, can I stay with you? And then some force pushes me back and says, no, this is not your place. So, in a balance of probability and following my intuition and everything I've studied and everything I've looked into in my life's experiences, I cannot discount anything that happened to me as random. And I'm looking around. Yes, look at these wonderful people. Well, I'm not alone. We are not alone. There are millions of souls like us. All they need is to remember. You need to remember who you are. You need to do it now. And the only way you are going to truly, completely remember who you are is by being scrupulous about truth. Scrupulous. You cannot sugarcoat anything. I found out the hard way. The other day I called out Christian hypocrites. And sure enough, inadvertently, I triggered a whole bunch of Christian hypocrites I didn't even know on my friends list. And they were furious with me. How dare you? How dare you say so? Oh, you want help from us. And then you go and say, fake ass Christian. Who do you think you are? You know, I have been avoiding this conversation. No, don't talk about religion and politics. Okay? Learn how to make good talk. Believe me, I know all about etiquette and, you know, rules of behavior and that lifestyle. I can, if I'm forced, I don't like it that much, but I can kind of pull it off. But something in me just rejected it. It rejected it because my soul knew I was contracted for something else. And all of you, the chances, the random chances that any one of us even exists, coupled with we have done the same research and work, coupled with we got to know each other on this crazy platform that is Facebook, and we hijacked it for our own ends. We are the enemy to them. You have to be scrupulously fair to Twitter and Facebook. We were not supposed to hijack it so we could find like minds across the globe and start forming alliances and groups and rebelling and signing petitions and turning the panopticon back on itself. That was not the plan. So we have to be fair to them. We are their enemy and we have hijacked their platform. Of course, we are doing it to put the inversion the right side up. But what happens is people get stuck on Jesus saves you. and they don't go any further. I understand why this happens. There's an immense amount of programming involved, but that is an ego conditioned thing. And you really, when I talk about the Bible, I've been through a lot of translations. I've looked at many things. So, well, yeah, I didn't want to say anything about Christ and hypocrites, the Lord. I mean, those are the people who crucify Christ. I know these people are. They're terrifying. We all know who they are. You don't want to provoke them. And here, me, you know, the last person on earth who could afford to lose friends and alienate people at this time in history and in my life and in my circumstances, here I am provoking these very people. You know, why would anybody choose such a thing? Thank you. Thank you. Your prayers, you all don't know how your prayers have kept me going. But anyway, I just want to point something out to you. Ignorance is bliss until the bill comes. So we have been able to get away with not looking at a lot of things and not saying many things until now. This is the battlefield. This is not a dress rehearsal. We are now in the battle. And I don't care if you're living in suburbia and everything looks fairly normal to you, or you're in a shithole country like mine. I'm telling you now, every race, every religion, all of them are compromised. There are no good guys in politics. And as it transpires, not in religion either. So the Bible is a very occulted document, and they know the true meaning. And they rely on you not digging too deep. Let me try and find what notes I made over here. So Christians will say you can only get to God and into heaven, the kingdom of heaven, through Jesus Christ. And they quote Matthew 14:6. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. Okay? And the ego kicks in, and all they focus on is the me of it. Oh, Jesus. Okay. That's my get out of jail free card. There's no vicarious. I'm sorry. I have to bring this news. There is no vicarious salvation in this world and universe of order and laws. You know there are laws and there are consequences. And every time mankind does not heed those laws and we become lawless, hell rains down on us. So let me de-occult what it means. The way, the truth, and the life. And I'm going to use a method called the trivium. No, I've never been part of a secret society. No, I have no access to any more information than anybody else has. I went looking for it because I saw what happened to my grandfather. I lived with Kissinger and Foster, who was absolutely that tormented my grandfather. I sat up with him night after night when he would, speak about how he had been betrayed. And the story is horrendous. It's a horrendous story. So when I wanted answers, it's not because I went to some secret club and I was given the rule book. No, You know that one says, seek and ye shall find in the Bible. Seek and ye shall find. It's literal. It's literal. You look for truth, you will find it. There's no secret society that can actually contain it. But that window is closing fast. That window is closing fast. This knowledge is not going to be available for anybody to see very soon. They are going to cut it off because it's dangerous to them and their system of control. There are too many of us who are tapped into the Creator and what's really going on. You know, I'm a conspiracy theorist. So anyway, the de-occulted reading is action, no, thought, followed by word, followed by action. So the way is the thinking. Truth is the speaking. Life is the action. That is what you are meant to understand. Not Jesus saves you off the hook like that. That you have to be congruent in your thoughts and in your words and in your actions. And they have to comply with the laws of my Father in heaven. He says explicitly. And you go to that chapter in Matthew that I quoted, and he says, many will say, Lord, Lord, we came to you. And I will say, depart from me, I never knew you, because you've been practicing lawlessness. So do you see why it's very important that you don't misinterpret this document? Do not misinterpret it. You cannot just put it onto Jesus will save you. You have to understand that in thought, word, and deed, you have to live truth. And all the great spiritual traditions, I'm sorry, it's out there. And if you fail to do that, the consequences will come down upon you. So I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news to people who thought and still think, and I can actually smell the kindling. I can smell it, for the bonfire that they're going to burn me on for saying these things, because you're not allowed to say them. Look at all my heroes, Giordano Bruno in the cover photo, burned alive. For what? They kill people, rape people, cause wars, molest anybody. No, he spoke the truth. The ultimate sin in the world of lies is to speak the truth. From that scene with Jack Nicholson, I can't remember it, you can't handle the truth. Yes, I know you can't handle it. Unfortunately, we have now come to a do or die moment. It's no longer, yeah, I'm not ready, maybe tomorrow, can I just look away? No, it is, the time is now. And I mean that very seriously. This year is not over with. Do not think this is anywhere close to ending. So right now, the antidote to the lie is hard truth. Shatteringly hard truth. I have had to have my entire worldview shattered several times. Very unpleasant experience. In psychology, it's called ontological shock. When you suddenly find out something about your life, and then everything else unravels and it's all not true. You have to prepare that can happen all the time. And so you have to be very steadfast. And it's really very simple. Hold to truth. Do not get trapped into the ego. There are so many brainwashing techniques they're using on us to sever the connection. They are using everything. They are unloading everything on us right now. There's no other way. They are running scared. As soldiers in battle, I'm telling you now, you are in the trenches. You are armed with your connection to something greater and truth. And therefore, all you have to do, and I say all when I know how hard it is, we have to stop complying with a lie right now. We have to admit that we all played our part in this monumental clusterfuck of lies and deceit and treachery, fake everything, fake history, fake food, fake, things. Everything has been thrown at us now. And very, very small window. They are going to close down this ability of us to communicate to each other. And so basically what I'm saying to you is you have to, you choose. You serve truth or you serve the lie. And those consequences in today's world are going to be biblical. Not the first time we have been here. But it might very well be the last time. It might very well be the last time before we turn into real livestock. No intuition whatsoever. No connection to the real creator. Just dumb, walking dead slaves to these demonic creatures that think the laws of the universe and the creator should not apply to them. They don't want these laws to apply to them. They want to be able to do whatever they like and get away with it. And they know you can't. And again, I don't know if any of you missed that Bohemian Grove ceremony that Alex Jones infiltrated. The name of that ceremony is the cremation of care. Every time you say, I don't care, occult brainwashing, I don't care. Care is an incredibly important thing. You have to care about the truth. You have to care about history. You have to care about getting it right. You have to care for your own. And at this point, we're not doing any conversions there. I am not in the business of converting people or telling people what to do or what to believe or anything like that. I am simply in the business of telling you nothing is what it seems. You think Nelson Mandela was a hero? He was. The great colonizer wearing new garments of revolution. The whole mock revolution that went on in Southern Africa that you all looked away from and continue to look away from. You don't know that what happened over here is coming to you. It is. I did a video. Go and look at Cesara Speaks, my YouTube channel, where I said, mark my words, this is what is going to happen. And when it starts, when the revolution starts, it's going to unravel faster than you could ever imagine. And I don't need to be a prophet to say that. I don't need to be a prophet. I just paid attention. I did not live in ignorance of truth. I went and I looked for the truth. I did not accept the softball lies. And somehow I was put into a position as well, in a family and in life circumstances, where I could not skate by. I could not skate by truth. And so here I am, making enemies, alienating people, my back up against a wall in the most hostile conditions, being dragged out by my conscience to speak truth while I still can, because I will not get out of this. I will not get out of this contract. My life is not going to expire before, the delivery date is due. All of you, you great, amazing, wonderful beings who I am so honored. I am so honored that I met you. I am so humbled. I am so humbled. I am so blessed that in a time like this, I look around the world and I can see like minds. We just lighting up in the most terrible circumstances. Yes, you're right, Hunter. That is exactly it, according to God's laws. That is currently happening to all people. Our humanity is online. Our souls are online. You can't get your soul back. Okay? If you sell it's called a Faustian bargain. A Faustian bargain. Okay, Goethe wrote a book in German about Faust, and Christopher Marlowe did the English version of Faustus. And for those who don't know what a Faustian bargain is, it's you make a deal with the devil for comfort and good times in this life. However, that deal has got a price tag. And so when you have to pay it, it's terrifying. You can't get your soul back. So your most important asset is your soul. It's not your body, it's not anything else, it is your soul. And your contract to the Creator. Either I'm insane, in which case, hallelujah, I'm insane, I'm off the hook, the lunatics aren't running the asylum, or I'm being shoved out there to say these things. And I'm not speaking to the many, I'm not trying to convert you, I'm just telling you, you're right. You are on target. I know it too. And I'm finding all of you around the world, we all know this. Oh my goodness, what a time to be alive. Yes, exactly, Michael, that deal must be paid. Your soul will be taken away. This is a short life. Do not give up your most precious possession in return for temporary safety. Going along, not looking, not learning, not preparing yourself. Brace for incredible shocks and revelations, and the revealing of the evil and dark that is being done, very often in your name. And you are just sitting there and going, oh, it's okay. Jesus saves me, whatever, every Abrahamic faith, whatever. I don't care. I don't care. Yes, you don't care because you are brainwashed. Cremation of care. That is the ritual that those crazy people do, the child sacrifice. Cremation of care. You must care. You must care deeply, and you must care not. I hope I haven't babbled too much. I didn't feel like doing this. I don't want to do this. I'm out of time. Out of time. But I can see it. We can all see it. We all know the writing is on the wall. So Pick your poison. Get the truth. Stick to it. We are more powerful than they are. We are far greater in number than they are letting you know. But you have to, you can't passively sit back. You have to actively start to think, speak, and do truth. Okay. I love you all very much. I'm very honored to be in your company. Your prayers. You don't know. You don't know the hell I have been. The only way I could have gotten through was with all of you. God bless you. Take care. Take care. Seek truth. Look to your souls. Thank you so much for your time.